Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. I'm super excited about today's video. This has actually been about 4 months in the works. I met these guys at Barrett-Jackson, and what we're going to be doing today is going from 2 wheels to 4 wheels. So these are bikes from American Bike and Trike. This is just outside of Phoenix in Gilbert. This is a company that converts Harley Davidsons into quads, and I saw these guys over at Barrett-Jackson this past year. It's about 4 months ago, and I said I've got to get out there and check these things out. These are absolutely wild. Now, a lot of guys out there hate trikes. That's kind of like a millennial thing, and so when I saw these, it just rang to me of like, wow, I really got to show these on my channel, because it's such a different way to ride a motorcycle. I mean, this is pretty wild. It actually handles really well. There is no leaning, there is no counter steering. Jeez. It's just such a cool feeling. So as you can see, guys, these things are just absolutely incredible looking. They handle really well. It's a really great bike, and it looks awesome. There's another one they have there with a little cart on the back that I think looks really cool. It has like a really military vibe to it. But these things are just menacing looking on the streets. And, you know, I don't know, I can say that if I was in the market for a trike, now that I have seen and ridden these things, I 100% would go with this quad over a trike. When I started this channel, I had actually considered going with a trike and trying to make it cool, but I ultimately abandoned that because I realized, you know, I'm not going to spend my money trying to, you know, make people believe something that they might not believe. But this, on the other hand, if I knew these things existed when I bought my Heritage, there is a great chance that I would have gone this route. So guys, I thank Terry a ton for the opportunity to get out and ride these things. They are just absolutely wild. I'm in love with this. This whole quad Harley is really incredible. I mean, as you can see, these things just look absolutely awesome. And as you can see, these things are really, you know, they are no slouch, guys. You know, they get up on these things and go, and you know, they kind of float over the bumps. It's a great feeling. And the one thing that's interesting with these is that as you go around these turns, because it's 4 wheels, they almost feel as if they want to, like, it's kind of throwing you off a little bit. And he was mentioning to me that they're actually in the process of making some bolsters for the seats. Kind of the similar idea of, you know, racing seats holding you in. Guys, this is just, yeah, this is absolutely wild. So we're going to do a quick swap here. It's so weird to hop on a bike. Okay. So he just gave me my warning that going around corners on this one, it's a higher center of gravity, so it's going to want to buck you a little bit more. This one sounds absolutely menacing. The exhaust in this is wild. Man, this is so cool. Now that little red one, they are getting into flat tracking these things, which that's where you started talking about that side bolster for the seats, and I can definitely see that being something that would be pretty wild to watch. Man, this thing sounds sick. You know, I gotta tell you, I was really expecting these things to be a lot slower than what they are. Adding that fourth wheel, I mean two wheels really compared to what I'm used to riding, but they have some get up and go to them. It's rather quite impressive for being a you know, a four-wheel machine. And this one, again, having a higher center of gravity as you're pushing through the turns, you can kind of feel that a little bit. But through the bars, you're really not fighting it that much. I mean, you're not counter steering, so you're pushing it through the turns like you would a four-wheeler, which if you've ever ridden one, it's the same principles. But you know, this is pretty wild. The brakes definitely are something that has to get used to because it's four wheels, it is four-wheel disc. There is no front brake to be had, so you have to get used to that a little bit. But this is just such a crazy experience. Now, as far as like touring goes, I could totally see just kind of laying back on one of these things. I mean, this doesn't have cruise control on this one, but I could absolutely see laying back on one of these bikes and just cruising for hours. And they do have a road glide, so you can have the fairing, you know, you can have your radio, you can have all your creature comfort amenities. Jeez, this thing is crazy awesome. But anyhow, you can have all your creature comforts of a touring bike with that fairing and get up and cruise. And I can see it just being a really pleasurable experience for you know, riding and not being on two wheels if you wanted to go with the quad. So the feeling of this is just, it's really not nearly as hard to push around as I would have thought it would have been. I expected to have, I don't know, a kind of a slouch in terms of handling, but you just push it where you want to go, and it goes there. Just, you know, really, really great feeling. I'm so happy. This is one of those opportunities that having a YouTube channel, without that a channel that I have, stuff like this just doesn't really kind of come up. So I am super grateful to be able to find things like this and share it with you guys as an experience. These things, these are just absolutely wild. So that was absolutely awesome. I'm back here on my Heritage, back on two wheels, and I've got to say that for that quad, I know I mentioned it before, but they are just incredibly easy to push around. It was quite impressive. I was not expecting it, you know, to be that nimble. You know, certainly it's not as nimble as two wheels, but I found it to be a very pleasurable ride. And one of the things that Terry did mention to me, I actually sat around and we talked for, well, a couple hours. And, you know, a couple of things that he had mentioned that I didn't mention on my test ride was that they actually have like disabled veterans and people that just can't ride two wheels anymore, that just don't want a trike. And I'm 36 years old, and I think a lot of guys, not only younger than me, but even guys probably up to 50s, there's just this thing about trikes. It's kind of a love-or-hate thing, and a lot of guys just won't go to three wheels. And one of the things Terry had mentioned was, you know, a lot of guys will say, like, I would never ride a trike, but when they see the quad, they're like, but that I would ride. And I totally understand why. It's different. It's also independent suspension. So if you look at the Harley Tri-Glides, it's all solid rear axles. With these quads, and actually even the trikes that they do, it's actually an independent rear suspension, so it's better handling than the trikes that you would buy from Harley stock. So you could basically buy, you know, a street glide or a road glide and have it converted to a trike with independent rear suspension from American Bike and Trike, as opposed to just that solid rear axle. So that's pretty cool. And the fact that they can convert these things to all hand controls, so if you are disabled, they can do everything up on the bars for you. It's really incredibly customizable. So I don't know, I'm a huge fan of those quads, and I appreciate American Bike and Trike and Terry for taking the time on, well, it's a Sunday morning here, to demonstrate these things for me, because I think it's certainly a unique thing that they're the only people in the country that are doing it, to the best of my knowledge. And you know, that's certainly, again, that's a unique thing, and I love unique shit. So this is a really cool option for those out there looking for 4 wheels or a trike, or if you're out there and you just think that a motorcycle and being on 2 wheels is more dangerous, and you're more comfortable on 4 wheels in general. It's certainly not a negative thing to look at these bikes. I think it's really cool. It'll absolutely turn heads. I mean, to say the least. I can imagine that being something that would be quite the attention grabber. I absolutely love the service car version of the Quad. I think the options with that are just endless, especially for like companies. If you wanted to do like a unique delivery type of vehicle, I think that would be, I don't know, something really cool, especially for events, or you think of like pit cars and stuff like that for racing. There's just a lot of opportunity out there for that service car option. As a YouTuber, I look at that thing and think, man, I could put so much video equipment in there that is kind of otherwise difficult to do with my current bike. As you see, I'm wearing a backpack, carrying some gear right now. And you know, it's just one of those things that, and actually the reason why I'm wearing this backpack and I did not put it on my Motherwell rack is because the camera that I'm carrying, I just didn't want it to be subjected to all of the vibrations of the motorcycle, so I put it on my back to try to alleviate some of the vibration. And so that's why I'm wearing the backpack. But I also don't like riding with backpacks very often, because if something were to happen and I were to go into a slide, I don't really want something in between my spine and whatever I'm hitting. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna wrap this video. Again, this is American Bike and Trike that allowed me to come out today. They're down here in Gilbert, Arizona. I will link all of their contact information down below. Feel free to reach out to them if you are interested, or you know, just check out their website. They have a lot of their inventory listed up there for sale, and you can see how much these bikes go for. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, if this is your first time tuning in, please click that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel, and we'll see you guys next time.